Yeah, my name's Bob Peart. I live on the Saanich Peninsula in the Capital Region District of Victoria, in the Victoria area. And I'm in the northern part of the Saanich Peninsula near Horth Hill. Yeah, I'm a biologist by training, and I've got a master's in education, and I've taken training in conflict resolution as kind of my training, my professional side. I've got about a third of my career's been in government, about a third of my career's been self-employed, and about a third of my career has been involved with running nonprofit organizations like the Canadian Parks and Wilderness Society or Sierra Club Outdoor Recreation Council. And throughout that time, I've volunteered at the community level on numerous organizations related to community concerns. And so in this particular instance, the time I'm spending now volunteering for the Saanich Peninsula, I've done a lot of work at the provincial level, the national level, international level. And as my career kind of slowed down and I wasn't traveling as much, I kind of looked around and realized that the Saanich Peninsula is absolutely a wonderful place to live. And the people who live here love living here. So then we started to have conversations amongst ourselves about how can we continue to have the Saanich Peninsula be such a wonderful place to live. So the bioregional framework for the Saanich Peninsula, if you go back to 2018, 2017, 2018, a number of us have been talking about. There are 3 jurisdictions on the Saanich Peninsula. There are 4, actually. There's Saanich, Central Saanich, Sydney, and North Saanich. And a number of us were just talking about, well, what can we do? Because we've got these 4 jurisdictions that don't collaborate, don't talk to each other, and they go different ways on bylaws, tree management, management of the oceans, sea life, whatever. So 2018, there was a Sydney summit, and we arranged through various motions on the floor and whatever at the Sydney summit to get a resolution passed about how important it was for the 3 municipalities on the Saanich Peninsula to cooperate. So using that kind of leverage, and a few hundred people attended, and everyone really supported that vision. So about that time, there was an election on the Saanich Peninsula, and 3 mayors got elected who actually cooperated, liked each other's company, and so we wanted to take advantage of that goodwill. And along with that, Adam Olson, the MLA, really appreciated and understood how important it was to work collaboratively and have the 3 jurisdictions try to cooperate better. So we raised some money. We hired a co-op student, and that co-op student developed a plan, bioregional framework for the Saanich Peninsula. And that was developed by 2021. And then we've been working since then to work with the 3 municipalities, their official community plans, their bylaws, just to try to get some integration going. And it turned out, coincidentally again, that each of the 3 municipalities decided to review their bylaws and to review their official community plans. So we entered that process and tried to get the idea of jurisdictional cooperation embedded in the 3 official community plans. So that's kind of where we're at now in the process. So we arranged, after a series of meetings, we decided that rather than being done in an ad hoc way, we should form some kind of organization. So we formed the Saanich Peninsula Environmental Coalition, and it was brought together to protect nature by building community through this cooperation. And members of that group are, the local groups, Friends of Shoal Harbor, which focuses on the Shoal Harbor Migratory Bird Sanctuary, Sea Change Marine Conservation Society, which is concerned about the foreshore and sea level rise and issues related to that. Peninsula Stream Society does all the riparian work and restoration related to fish and fish streams on the peninsula. World Wildlife Canada. Residents who are concerned about was called PROW. Residents are concerned about the foreshore. So we had groups like that, the community groups, 11 or 12 of these groups we got together. The other fundamental part of this was the relationship with the Saanich people. And so we met as a coalition with the Saanich people, and they really embraced our conversation. So one of the things we're really proud about the bioregional framework is that it was endorsed by and supported by the Saanich people. And that relationship with the First Nations is really, really important, and we really respect that, and we're really proud of the way that we worked with them to have that respectful relationship embedded in our framework document. So that's basically who's on the planning team, and the groups that we try to work with in a cooperative way are the staff and the councillors of the 3 municipalities on the Saanich Peninsula. The bioregional framework process is useful because it's community-based. It's kind of the level at which people can relate to. You talk to them about the parks on the Saanich Peninsula and how important it is for those parks to be connected so people can walk from park to park and have a trail system on the Saanich Peninsula that's interconnected. You can talk to them about the importance of forest management and tree canopy for the movement of animals and plants, because you've got the east-west and the north-south connectivity on the peninsula. So you have these principles, these ecological principles that people can relate to because it's community-based. And the other thing we did, we linked our bioregional framework process with the official community plan. And so each of the 3 municipalities here, Central Saanich, Sydney, and North Saanich, have got an official community plan. So we tried to embed the principles of the bioregional framework into the official community plans as they rewrote them. So the way the process has worked here now is that about, I guess it would be December of 2022, just recently, Sydney approved their official community plan. Central Saanich is about to approve their official community plan. And the idea of jurisdictional cooperation and working with other is really kind of embedded into a lot of the wording that Sydney and Central Saanich have done. And the other part of that that's really important that we've talked about was climate and climate change. And climate isn't just, a chapter or a piece of the official community plan. The approach to climate needs to be embedded throughout the document. And they've talked about that in their plans, and we really like their approach related to, natural assets, watersheds, and how important that they are for the future of the healthy environment, and how important it is for the health of the people who live here. Yeah, absolutely. This model's got wider application. We've already had conversations with people out Souk way, and how the process can maybe be used for that stretch of the west coast from Souk to Port Renfrew. So there's an application there. We've had conversations with people in the I guess it'd be the North Cowichan Regional District, and how it would apply there. And some of those principles have been thought through in the Gibsons area. And so yes, it's got wider application. And I think as we developed this, we had that in mind as to how the principles could be applied. So our vision is to recognize a rich and an interconnected ecology of the Saanich Peninsula. Well, that could be a vision to recognize rich and interconnected ecology in a variety of communities, whether it's here on Vancouver Island or elsewhere. And the commitment to work together to achieve this future is a really, really important outcome that we think is important, and that's applicable everywhere. So the need for ecosystem integrity, jurisdictional cooperation, and community involvement and engagement are principles that are applicable elsewhere for sure. So the way we initiate it is we call it a meeting. So we call a meeting of the mayors that were affected. We called a meeting and we brought together the groups that work in the area. In this particular case, our initial meeting was hosted by the MLA, Adam Olson. But I think if people are really interested in this approach, they need to kind of call that meeting of like-minded individuals, like-minded groups, and to have that conversation about how a broader bioregional approach can bring these siloed conversations together in an integrated kind of way. So I think that initiation for a similar process, the period of time it took from us calling our initial meeting, having sub-meetings, and kind of having and then we had a broader public gathering where about 100 and 150 people came, and we presented this vision, and we said, is this worth the time and energy? And the resounding feedback we got from the public was yes, so we proceeded. So I would say the time it took from kind of thinking this is a good idea to actually deciding, yes, this is a good idea and we're going to do it, was 6 to 9 months. And then it's been a couple years since then for us to get the document written, to start to apply and work with the with staff and counselors. The other thing that's really important here is throughout our process, we worked with municipal staff, so they understood what we were doing, and it wasn't a threat in quotes. And also we tried to have conversations with them that they didn't kind of say, oh my God, here's something else we have to do now, as well as everything else. We tried to talk to them about how by cooperating and working together, in the long run, it actually would reduce the workload and make a lot of sense at the community level. Yeah, getting the local people involved, it's a real challenge right now. Excuse me. People are very busy with their lives. It's a kind of a crazy world. Where do people start? There's a climate anxiety that people talk about. So it's a very challenging time to get people involved. So what we've tried to do is we've got a couple, a little bit of presence on social media, not a lot, but we've tried to engage people through various social media. We've got a website. We've got we use Place Speak as our vehicle for conversations and where we post all our information for the public. We've tried to hold public meetings, and so it really isn't difficult and challenging, but yet at the same time there are a core of a few dozen people here who really believe in what we're doing, and I think that's slowly getting the word out in a broader way. We got hit by COVID like a lot of people did, so there's a period of 2 years there where it was difficult for us to have the public meetings that we wanted, because the face-to-face involvement is really, really important. So I'd really encourage people who are interested in this to have that overall kind of coordinating group, the coalition, if you want to call it that, and then have smaller public meetings all the time working towards a common vision. And we find if you can kind of get those 2 or 3 levels working together, it can lead to success. And I think the other thing that's important right now in today's world is searching for hope. And people are really finding this conversation hopeful, and it gives them something concrete to think about for the future. And it's positive rather than some of the and a lot of the negative conversations that are taking place in today's world. So that positive collaboration is really, really important, and it's really been helpful for us as we've worked towards the future.